Today we are looking at Mission 7 of the Chapter Approved 2022 book. It's coming right up.
Necrons!
Nick speaking, and welcome to this video. Right, today it is Mission 7, Tide of Conviction, an interesting one.
Yeah.
Another Dawn of War map.
Yeah. I mean, it's also a domination.
So it's basically you need to hold two for 4 points. So yeah, let's go table down and have a look. Okay, yeah, so Dawn of War and 6 objectives, and they're quite oddly placed.
Yeah.
These two being fairly close together, and obviously you've got one on the other side here, and then the opposites. They're trying to get you to sort of have this almost like diagonal fill for the army. So yeah, you need to hold 2 objectives for 4 points on this one, and the secondary primary objective
is scoring points if you hold your in your opponent's
is to get over here.
I think you'll score extra if you hold in
at the end of the battle. You score more for being on this one. I think it's 4 points and then 2 points.
Yeah.
And then at not turn 5 but turn 2, 3, and 4, you score. I think it's 2 points for each one.
Yeah. Over
there. So yeah, you're going to need to try and get over the other side of the table.
Well,
but
actually, you do, but you don't.
Yeah, exactly.
So what I'm thinking is, I ignore those extra points, and literally, I am literally spending three to 4 turns just making sure I wake my opponent down to getting my opponent into a position where at turn 4 or 5, I'm just sending a Wraith unit out or Shorepeg, something that's going to threaten one of these to score that point late turn.
Yeah, because this is the thing. Okay, you may not be scoring it, but if you're stopping your opponent scoring those points as well, you're evening out the scoring sheet, aren't you? And then you can look to score it in other ways, with maybe some of the other secondaries.
This one for me shouts Stranglehold. It shouts Purge of Vermin, and you could again do Raise of Banners, or you could do R&D, or if you're not doing Stranglehold, Purge of Vermin. If you're not doing Purge of Vermin, Code of Combat. If you've got Silent King in, and they're the things you'll think. Again, as we've reiterated, this building stage is where all these considerations come in.
Yeah.
I personally would want Silent King, and so I've got Code of Combat choice, I've got Purge of Vermin choice, I've got 2 choices from the codex that reliably score me decent amount of points.
Yeah.
And those 2 scoring you pretty good points in the game.
Absolutely. I don't know, I would consider Stranglehold with this one, because I think that would be quite a hard one to score more.
Yeah.
Personally.
But then you can take...
It depends on your opponent as well, doesn't it? Of course. If you have an opponent which you are not going to be coming forward much, potentially you could even go for Purge on this one, because of the way the objectives are. So you need to obviously assess your opponent as well.
I mean, why you possibly go Stranglehold and Raise the Banners is because then you're saying you're forcing your opponent, unless he's doing the same, to come in. And he might say, well, actually, I'll equal you with Stranglehold and Raise the Banners, and we'll see what I'm going to do with my third. And if it's a Marine-based army or Drakari, they might take something like 2 the last, which is the 3 most points heavy.
And of course, even though it is Dawn of War, in the old days that used to be quite a big distance. It's not actually that much distance now.
Well, it's still 24 inches between the 2, but the actual from edge to edge is shorter.
So if you've got your Silent King here, moving on with he can't do the pre-game move because he's obviously a dynastic agent. But if you had Wraiths coming in with the pre-game move, you could actually get over this quite quickly.
Yeah, it's 6 inches, then you 12, and then you're a charge away from.
I would potentially look, if I had a couple of units of Wraiths in my list, I potentially would be looking at first turn charges.
Yeah.
with this one if I had first turn?
It's an option, and again, my initial reaction is to, because I haven't got you've not got many models or units. I'm wanting to stay and think, but if my opponent is wanting to sit in his half, I'm going to want to affect the game and go to him.
Yeah, and this is why you need several options, isn't it? Because it really does. You need to really assess your opponent's army and potentially
and what it does
and the plan. And just if you've got a plan, you just might have to like totally take that out the window on your opponent's army and just change your direction of it.
I always have adjustable goalposts because things will come up during the game that you've got to adapt to.
Yeah.
And if you can't adapt to it, and you've got a plan and you don't make it a flexible, you're going to struggle to win the game.
Yeah. I mean, I've gone from the original plan of having 6 Skullpack destroyers. Where I'm going to go out, I'm going to charge, I'm going to kill, and they've just stood on an objective the whole game.
Yeah.
And it's like you just have to adapt, because ultimately scoring those objective points is more important actually than killing your opponent.
And this is the thing: the game's about scoring victory points, and you've got to make sure you choose the right way to do that. And you saw, I mean, when we played, and I played my Army of Renown, I made the mistake. I came up, I put my bikes here, and you fell back over here. In my initial plan, I even though I charged with the bikes, I had them spread out, still covering this objective, so you couldn't get the lobber reduced their movement, so they couldn't move, and I forgot those parts of the plan. So you've always got, and then I had to try and adapt, and I didn't adapt.
No.
To what happened on the board well enough.
See, I've just been thinking about this whilst we've been talking, and like depending on how my opponent is like deployed, I might actually go a different direction. I just come up with a plan off the fly.
That's great.
So, I mean, if there was enough terrain, let's say around this objective, I would be tempted just to stick maybe a small units of scarabs like on this objective.
Yeah.
Right, and I would actually come over here, and my aim, I'd deploy my whole army this side, and my aim would be to come round and attack this area. Now, depending on how strong my opponent's units are over here, but actually come this way and make a play for this objective.
Yes.
So actually go for these 3. That over there, just a token, just to help, and potentially my opponent, if I'm busy over here, they may come over here. If they do and I lose that objective, that's okay, because I'm going over that way. Yeah. So there are several ways to play it. Yeah. So sometimes you just have to come up with that plan on the spot.
Yeah. And again, as you said, you're looking at your opponent's deployment. You might decide, actually, he's weaker this side, so I'm going to go around that way.
Swing round that way, yeah.
Again, you're looking at your opponent's deployment. What you say is, I've got this game plan in mind for this, but depending on what my opponent does, I will change it slightly to accommodate those factors.
And that's the good thing about playing the same list all the time, or most of the time.
Yeah.
Especially if you're playing different missions, is you do learn to adapt more, because you learn what the units are capable of.
Yeah.
And in each mission, the units may actually need to do different things as well.
And the second thing is that say it's your race. You know they move 12. Boom, like that. You know they advance. They've got X amount of attacks. You don't need to. Boom. You know they're safe. Boom. All you've then got to think about is, right, if I chuck it into that, say a custode unit, with all those attacks, am I going to kill those 3 custode?
And
custode bots?
The more you play, the more instinctively you know if we're going to wipe a unit, or going to kill half of it, or just hardly damage it. You get to know that, don't you?
So you're not surprised that actually I didn't wipe that, but the math said I shouldn't wipe it.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you get hit and you lose 4 models from it, and you're thinking, now what do I do? How do I overcome that?
Yeah.
You've already know the outcome. And if that happens, if the dice go against me, what can I do instead to compensate for it?
Yeah. So that is that mission. We've got a playlist with all of these videos in. Check it out. It's linked in the description below, along with, of course, Richard's channel. So check that out as well. And we'll see you in the next one.